Imagine a plant that looks as if its leaves are covered with liquid silver. Its surface shines like polished metal, reflecting light at incredible angles. This is not fantasy, not Photoshop, and not some laboratory mutant. This is Alocasia silver dragon, one of the most unusual plants you have ever seen. And today we will unravel its most intriguing mystery. Why does this plant look exactly like this? What evolution, what natural magic created this effect? The answer will surprise you. Let us begin our investigation. First of all, few people know that Alocasia silver dragon is not just a beautiful houseplant. It is a rarity in the true sense of the word. If you had Googled this species 5 years ago, you would have found information about only dozens of enthusiasts around the world growing this plant in their homes. Today, of course, the situation has changed thanks to the internet, but in traditional gardening and botany, silver dragon remains relatively unknown and undervalued. Most people who hear about Alocasia immediately remember its classic cousin, Alocasia amazonica, with its huge arrow-shaped leaves. But silver dragon is a completely different story. This plant is rarely found even in specialized nurseries. Many houseplant owners, even experienced collectors, have lived their entire lives without seeing it in person. And here lies the main misconception. People think this rarity is because the plant is difficult to care for or temperamental. Actually, this is not true at all. The real reason is much more interesting and relates to the history of the plant itself. Alocasia silver dragon originates from the Philippines. This tropical plant grows in the understory of tropical rainforests, where it lives in conditions of scattered light and high humidity. The Philippines is truly a paradise for plants. An enormous variety of Alocasia species grows there, many of which we know, and many remain yet undiscovered by science. The local people of the Philippines have used various Alocasia species in their lives for centuries. Some species served as food, others were used in traditional medicine. Silver dragon, with its unusual appearance, occupied a special place in local beliefs and traditions. When European botanists and researchers began studying Philippine flora in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, they identified and described many new Alocasia species. Silver dragon was among them, but it gained popularity much later. For a long time, the plant remained known mainly to botanical garden specialists and orchid collectors in Europe and North America. Mass distribution began only with the development of the internet and global plant trade. People began seeing photographs of this amazing plant on social media, and demand skyrocketed. Interestingly, the first scientific descriptions of silver dragon date back to the year 1895. German botanist Adolf Engler included this plant in his catalogue of Philippine flora, but gave it a rather boring scientific name that did not reflect its beauty. Only decades later did the plant receive the trade name silver dragon, which immediately captured people's imagination. The common name proved far more successful than the Latin name because it tells a story. This name tells us that the plant's leaves shine like silver, and the leaf shape itself reminds us of something mythical and magical. But here is what is interesting. In Philippine culture and in the beliefs of neighboring Asian countries, there are many legends about plants with metallic leaf shine. According to tradition, leaves that shine like silver possess special energy. It is believed that such plants can attract prosperity and protect the house from negative energy. In some cultures, people believe that plants with silvery leaf shine are connected to the moon and lunar energy, which is responsible for intuition and inner wisdom. There is a belief that growing such plants in a house helps a person better understand themselves and develop their intuition. In Indonesian traditions, plants with reflective leaves were often given as gifts during special life events. According to local practice, this meant a wish for clarity and enlightenment. In Thai culture, silvery plants were placed in bedrooms, believing that they bring calm, light dreams. In the Philippines, there is an ancient belief that a plant with silvery leaves, grown in a house with pure intentions, becomes a conductor of prosperity for the entire family. It is important to emphasize that these are ancient beliefs passed down from generation to generation, but they have no scientific confirmation. However, they show how people throughout the centuries have noticed something special in these plants. Now let us turn to science and understand what is actually happening. Why does Alocasia silver dragon look as if its leaves are covered with liquid silver? The answer lies in the leaf structure at the microscopic level. The plant's leaves contain millions of tiny cells that have a very specific structure. On the leaf surface is a substance called a waxy coating. This coating is not just protection from disease and pests, although it does serve this function. It is a wonder of microscopic engineering. The waxy coating on silver dragon leaves is structured in such a way that it reflects light in a special way. Instead of absorbing light as most plants do, this coating reflects it in certain directions, creating an effect similar to metallic shine. Let us delve into the details. The waxy coating consists of hydrocarbon molecules that the plant produces specifically. These molecules are arranged in a structure that is microscopically uneven. When you look at a leaf under an electron microscope, you do not see a smooth surface, but an entire landscape of tiny ridges and valleys. It is like a microscopic forest where each tree is a tiny crystal of wax. It is this structure that interacts with light in a special way. Light hits the surface, is scattered between these microscopic structures, and instead of being absorbed, most of it is reflected back. But it reflects not chaotically, but in specific directions, creating an effect of directed shine. Biologists call this phenomenon structural coloration. It is not paint, not pigment, but the very structure of the material that interacts with light. When light hits the surface of a silver dragon leaf, it is scattered and reflected thanks to the microscopic irregularities on the surface, creating that very silvery shine. You see the same phenomenon in the wings of certain butterflies, in peacock feathers, or in the shell of a scarab beetle. It is one of the most common ways nature creates bright, shiny colors without using pigments. In fact, structural coloration is often combined with pigments, but in the case of silver dragon, the silvery shine is mainly created by structure alone. But why does the plant need this metallic shine? Here we approach the most intriguing part. In the tropical rainforests of the Philippines, where silver dragon grows in nature, there is a constant struggle for light. Trees create a dense canopy, and only scattered light reaches the ground. Plants need to use every photon of light they receive as efficiently as possible. The structural coloration of silver dragon leaves helps the plant do exactly that. The waxy coating not only reflects light but also optimizes its absorption by chlorophyll. Thanks to this, the plant can photosynthesize more efficiently even under limited lighting conditions. Here is how it works in detail. Chlorophyll, the pigment that makes leaves green, absorbs light of certain wavelengths, mainly blue and red light. Green light is reflected, which is why leaves look green. But the waxy coating on silver dragon works like a tiny optical filter. It reflects light in such a way that the light hits the chlorophyll at ideal angles. This increases the probability of light absorption by chlorophyll molecules. Think of it as an optimized lighting system built right into the leaf structure. The plant did not invent this consciously, of course. It is the result of millions of years of natural selection, where plants with more efficient leaf structure survived better than their neighbors. Additionally, shiny leaves help the plant regulate temperature. The reflective surface sends some of the sun's energy back to the environment, preventing leaf overheating. This is especially important in humid tropical climates where temperatures can be extreme. When the air is saturated with moisture, the plant cannot cool efficiently by evaporating moisture through leaf pores, so reflecting excess light becomes a critical thermoregulation mechanism. Thus, the beauty of this plant is not just aesthetics. It is the result of millions of years of evolution, adaptation to a specific habitat, and the need to survive in one of the most competitive places on the planet. If we look at other Alocasia species, we will see similar adaptations, but expressed differently. Alocasia amazonica has dark leaves with contrasting veins, which helps the plant better navigate the underground realm of the tropical forest. Alocasia longiloba has developed narrow, elongated leaves to reduce moisture loss. Each Alocasia species has evolved in response to specific conditions of its microclimate. Silver dragon chose the path of structural coloration, and this choice made it one of the most striking and recognizable. Here we see how science and ancient traditions reach similar conclusions through different paths. People in Asian cultures have observed plants with shiny leaves for centuries and noticed that they look special, different from other plants. They associated this peculiarity with spiritual energy and power. When we look at this through a scientific lens, we will understand that these plants are indeed special, but their specialness lies in their unique ability to adapt to their environment. Different words, different explanations, but the essence is the same. These plants are evidence of nature's incredible craftsmanship. Perhaps ancient people intuitively felt this uniqueness and gave it spiritual significance. And perhaps they were not so far from the truth. They simply expressed the truth in terms available to them at the time. Now let us talk about the practical side. If you want to grow Alocasia silver dragon at home, you need to understand that this plant requires certain conditions that imitate its natural habitat. The first thing to remember is light. Silver dragon prefers bright, diffused light. It is best to place the plant near a window where it will receive morning sun but is protected from direct midday rays. Direct sun can damage leaves and disrupt the delicate balance of structures that create the silver effect. East or north-facing windows are ideal for this plant. If you only have south-facing windows, use sheer curtains to diffuse the direct sunlight. It is interesting to note that the silvery shine of the leaves becomes brighter when the plant receives optimal light. If silver dragon lives in too dark a place, the leaves lose their metallic luster and become darker and more matte. This suggests that the plant can regulate the intensity of waxy coating production depending on lighting conditions. This is yet another example of the adaptability of this species. Humidity is the second critical factor. Silver dragon grows in tropical rainforests with very high humidity. In home conditions, try to maintain air humidity at 60% or higher. You can use a humidifier, place the plant on a tray with pebbles and water, or regularly mist the leaves. Grouping several plants together also increases humidity through transpiration. Be careful when misting to avoid damaging the waxy coating on the leaves. Use gentle misting with distilled water, as hard water can leave streaks on the beautiful leaves. Drops of hard water leave mineral deposits after evaporation, which look like a white coating on the leaf surface. The soil should be nutritious and loose with good drainage. Alocasia is a root-feeding type of plant, so organic matter in the soil is critically important. Use a peat-based mix with the addition of perlite, bark, and charcoal. This will ensure good root aeration and prevent water stagnation. Overwatering is the enemy of Alocasia, while soil drying can lead to root death. The ideal soil mix should be light and airy but retain enough moisture. Some experienced collectors add live sphagnum moss to the soil, which helps maintain stable humidity and provides additional nutrition. The moss also serves as a good medium for beneficial microorganisms that help the plant absorb nutrients. If you use commercial substrate for Alocasia, make sure it contains perlite and charcoal, not just pure peat. Watering requires a special approach. Water the plant only when the top layer of soil has dried about 2 centimeters deep. In winter, watering is reduced as the plant enters a period of weak growth and requires less water. Use soft, preferably distilled or settled room temperature water. Cold water can shock the plant, and hard water can salt the soil. Never water Alocasia with cold water straight from the tap. Let the water settle overnight to reach room temperature and allow chlorine to evaporate. One of the frequent questions that Alocasia owners ask is, why do the leaves start to turn yellow? This is usually the result of overwatering. When roots are constantly in wet soil, they suffocate and begin to rot. Rotting roots cannot deliver nutrients to the leaves, so the leaves lose color. If this happens, repot the plant in fresh, dry soil and make sure the pot has drainage holes. It is also possible that the plant lacks light, which can also lead to yellowing leaves. Fertilization is important for healthy growth. Use a balanced fertilizer with equal ratios of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, something like October 10-10, during the growing season, from April to September. Fertilize every 2 weeks at half concentration. In winter, you can reduce or stop fertilization altogether. Organic fertilizers such as compost tea or diluted fish emulsion also work great and are more gentle on the plant. Temperature should be in the range of 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Silver dragon does not like cold and sudden temperature changes. Keep the plant away from drafts and air conditioners. Temperatures below 15 degrees can lead to growth stoppage and increased susceptibility to disease. In nature, Silver dragon never experiences such cold temperatures, so its immune system is not adapted to cold. Reproduction of silver dragon is possible but requires patience. The plant reproduces by rhizomes. When the plant is sufficiently mature, it produces babies, small shoots with their own leaves, at the base. Carefully separate these babies from the mother plant. Make sure each has at least one small root, and plant them in small pots with moist soil. Cover the babies with clear plastic or place in a mini greenhouse to create conditions of increased humidity. Roots should develop within 3 to 4 weeks. And finally, the most important thing, patience. Alocasia silver dragon grows slower than many other houseplants. Do not expect it to turn into a huge tree in a month. This plant prefers to grow slowly and steadily, gradually developing new leaves. Each new leaf is a small miracle, a masterpiece of microscopic architecture, covered with a waxy coating that will sparkle in the light. You may notice that new leaves develop lighter, almost white, and then darken over time as the waxy coating develops. This is completely normal. When you look at Alocasia silver dragon, you are not just looking at a beautiful plant. You are looking at the result of an incredible story that has lasted millions of years. Evolution has refined every detail, every microscopic element of the leaf, so that the plant can survive in one of the most challenging environments on the planet. There is nothing random about how the leaves of this plant sparkle. It is the result of purposeful adaptation, the result of only the best and most beautiful surviving. Every hair, every microscopic crystal of wax, every cell in the leaf, all of this is part of a complex system that has been optimized by nature. When you grow silver dragon at home, you become a guardian of this story. You provide the conditions that allow this ancient adaptation mechanism to work. You allow the plant to do what it has evolved to do for millions of years. And every time light hits the leaves, a transformation occurs. The leaf stops being just an organ of photosynthesis and becomes a work of art. It is a silent dialogue between the plant and light, between biology and beauty. What ancient people called magic or spiritual energy is actually botanical mastery. And perhaps it is even more magical than any legend. Because it is real, it works, it is here, right in the leaves of a plant that you can grow right in your own home. Every time a sun ray hits the leaves of Alocasia silver dragon, a dance of light and matter occurs, telling the story of survival, adaptation, and beauty. And now you know the story.